Hello guys, once again, welcome to our virtual classroom. Today we will be going over 2-1, section 2-1, and that is prime factorization. Here are the notes. Feel free to pause them as you need, but I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because I want to show you some examples from our actual assignment today. So prime factorization, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing you need to keep in mind is that we're dealing with prime numbers. And what is a prime number? Well, a prime number is a number that has that cannot be divided anymore into whole numbers. It only has two factors, and those will be one in itself. For example, and here we have prime numbers, beginning with the smallest prime number, which is the number 2. And I give you the first 10 prime numbers. So it's 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and 29, etc. And they go on forever. Now, take any of these numbers, like the number 5, and ask yourselves, what two numbers can I multiply together to get to this number? Well, there's only 1, and 1 times 5 is 5, and that's the only way that you can get to 5. You cannot divide 5 into any other numbers except for 1 and itself, 1 and 5. Same thing with something like 23. What two numbers can give you 23? Well, just 23 times 1, and that is it. Now, compare that to a composite number, like the number 12. 12, not only can it be divided into 12 and 1, which is 12 times 1, but you can also do 3 times 4. Or you can also do 6 times 2. So notice, ladies and gentlemen, how a composite number can be broken down into other numbers, whereas prime numbers cannot. Prime numbers can only be broken down into one in itself. In fact, that's where we get the word composite from, because a composite number is composed of other numbers. It can be broken down into other numbers, including other prime numbers. So really, when we're talking about prime factorization, ladies and gentlemen, we're literally taking a number and we're breaking it down into its prime factors, into its prime numbers, as we see here in this example. Here's 12, and 12, I can break down 12 into 6 and 2. And I'm going to circle the number 2 here because 2 is already a prime number. I cannot break it down further, okay? Just 2 is only divisible by 1 in itself, and so I cannot break it down further. However, here we have the number 6. I can break that down into the numbers 3 and 2, both of which are prime. So notice that at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I am left with 2, 2, and 3. So the prime factorization of 12 would be 2 times 2 times 3, because 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 3 is 12. Or I can go the other way around. 3 times 2 is 6, and then 6 times 2 is 12. So again, it's almost like you're taking a number and breaking it down into its prime ingredients, into the simplest numbers that are factors of that number. So in this case, the simplest numbers are 2, 2, and 3. And in fact, if we go into our assignment for that day, so let me go to the right course. So regardless of where you find that assignment, it'll be different for my pre-AP and my regular classes. But for my regular classes, that was on Monday. And if you look at the actual assignment, notice that we have to do numbers 1, 1A. So let me open up the textbook as well. So here's Monday. Here's the textbook. And if we scroll down to number 1A, notice how we're given a number and we have to find the prime factorization. In other words, we need to break down that number into its prime factor. So here's 1A. 1A is the number 14, so we need to break down the number 14. So on my notebook, I would write 1A, and I would start off with the number 14. Make sure you do the same. Next, I have to ask myself, what numbers can I multiply together to get to 14? Obviously, 1 times 14, but that doesn't help me. But I can also break it down into 2 times 7, or 2 and 7. 2 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle it. 7 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle it. So the prime factorization of 14 is going to be 2. Sorry, it's going to be 2 times 7. Right, notice that I didn't write 7 times 2. No, you want to write them down from least to greatest. So 2 times 7. And so what you would do on your submission is you would type in 2 and 7. Let's try another one. Let's try letter B. So we're going to do letter B. So for B, we have 30. So let's begin with 30. So we're going to write 30 in our notebook. And let's break down 30. Now, there's several ways that I could break it down. Let's say I did 5 times 6. 5 times 6. 5 is prime already, so I'm going to circle it so I don't break it down further. And 6 can be broken down to 3 and 2, both of which are prime. So the prime factorization of 30 would be 2 times 3 times 5. To which you might say, well, Mr. Lugo, but that's because you broke it down into 5 and 6. What if you break it down differently? Well, it's not going to make a difference. In fact, if I break down 30 into 10 times 3, 10 times 3. So 3 is already prime. Let's continue with 10. 10 will be 5 and 2. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, that I get to the same conclusion. Beginning from least to greatest, I have 2 times 3 times 5. And 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. I get the same exact answer either way. And on Schoology, I would type in 2 times 3 times, oops, it's a 3. 2 times 3 times 5. And that would be the answer to number 2. And that's pretty much you're doing for all of these problems, ladies and gentlemen. Now, on some, like in letter E, they already give you some options, and you just have to select the right one. So if I look at letter E, they're asking for the prime factorization of 84. So here's 84. And I'm going to do 12 and 7. 12 and 7. 7 is already prime. And then 12 will be 3 and 4. 4 is already prime. 3 is already prime. And then 4 will be 2 times 2, both of which are prime. So the prime factorization of 84 will be 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 7 is 84. So on Schoology, let's look for that one and notice that it's right over here. 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. Some of these will give you 84 already. Like 2 times 2 is 4 and 4 times 21 is 84. However, here, 21 is not a prime number. A prime factorization has to have only prime numbers, so that cannot be the answer. And then this one is just not it. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 7 is not 84. And then 2 times 42 is 84. But again, 42 is not a prime number, so that's not the answer. So the only one that works is B. So that's pretty much what you're doing for this assignment, ladies and gentlemen. Also, the very last problem is number 4 from our textbook. And notice that number 4 says to list all the prime numbers from 1 through 50. Now, obviously 1 is not prime and 50 is not prime, so we want to get all the numbers in between. And if you notice in our notes, I already gave you the first 10. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and 29. So all you need to do is continue from there and finish the list. Now, do be careful, though, because in the submission, I already gave you the number 2. So 2 is already there. So the first number that you should have is 3, and then 5, and then 7, and then 11, and then 13, etc., etc. So those are the numbers that I gave you in class. And again, the number 2 is already there. So do not start with the number 2 on the blank. Start with number 3. But that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty simple. Again, we're just breaking down numbers into their prime factors. And that is what prime factorization is. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and I will see you next time.